Daemon Targaryen, born in 81 AC, is the younger brother of King Viserys Targaryen. He is one of the most enigmatic figures in Westerosi history, characterized by his charisma, martial prowess, and rebellious nature. His early years were marked by military exploits and political maneuvers that often put him at odds with the established order. While the TV show House of the Dragon portrays him with clearer ambitions and motivations, the book Fire and Blood and the Rogue Prince depict him as a more ambiguous and chaotic figure. And it is indeed true that both Book Daemon and Show Daemon's ambitions are not always clearly defined. His actions often appear impulsive, driven by a combination of personal pride, a desire for recognition, and a love for chaos. Television Daemon is portrayed as more straightforwardly ambitious than his book portrayal, with clear intentions to assert his dominance and claim power, feeling sidelined and undervalued by Viserys. But Daemon's fate and nature may have been somewhat foretold even before his birth, according to information revealed in the books. For it seemed his very mother, Alyssa Targaryen, daughter of King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne, and sister-wife of Prince Daemon, the father of Viserys and Daemon, carried physical representations of the Targaryens' dual natures within her very body. As a baby, Alyssa resembled her deceased sister Daenerys, but this resemblance faded as Alyssa aged. She became long-faced and skinny. She had dirty blonde, tangled hair without a trace of silver. She had mismatched eyes, one violet, the other green. She had big ears and a lopsided smile. At the age of 6, she broke her nose, which healed crooked. As a baby, Alyssa resembled her deceased sister Daenerys, but this resemblance faded as Alyssa aged. She became long-faced and skinny. She had dirty blonde, tangled hair without a trace of silver. She had mismatched eyes, one violet, the other green. She had big ears and a lopsided smile. At the age of 6, she broke her nose, which healed crooked. In her nature, Alyssa took after her brother Balon. As a child, she did not act like a girl. She would dress in boys' clothes whenever possible and preferred to ride, climb, and duel with wooden swords over more ladylike activities, and shunned the company of girls. She had a warrior's heart, according to Archmaester Gildane. So we can see that in her very eyes, one purple, one green, that she perhaps displayed the traditional traits of fiery magical Valyria in one, and something perhaps more nurturing and subtle in the green one. And while Alyssa is only mentioned briefly in Season 1 of the TV show, with Viserys asserting Daemon was her favorite, in this case, we can perhaps see the symbolism of George R.R. Martin at work in the background of the Daemon's overall story. Daemon's relationship with his brother, King Viserys reigns, is complex and fraught with both bitter anger and brotherly love. In the books, this relationship is depicted with layers of ambiguity, leaving you to wonder how close the brothers really are. But the show provides more explicit reasons for Daemon's resentment. Viserys' decision to name his daughter Rhaenyra as heir, bypassing Daemon, is a critical point of contention from the very episode of the show all the way up into Season 2. While he clearly feels overlooked, his motivations are often shrouded in mystery, since some of them build a reputation counter to what you think a prince in the line of succession should want. It is not always clear whether he truly desired the throne or simply sought to assert his own importance in the eyes of his brothers and the rest of the kingdom, resenting continually being moved somewhere quiet to be forgotten. Rhaenys voices this to Corlys in Season 2, stating Daemon desires the power and glory of a king without the constraints that come with the throne itself. And indeed, Daemon's resentment is given tangible form on screen. He feels slighted by Viserys and believes that his brother is weak, incapable of strong leadership without guidance from Daemon, manipulated by Otto Hightower and other members of the small council. Daemon's nickname, the Rogue Prince, reflects his unpredictable and rebellious nature. His exploits in the Stepstones, where he declares himself King of the Narrow Sea, highlight his desire for power and autonomy. The books present these actions with an air of ambiguity, owing to Daemon's bombastic and chaotic nature, while the show frames them more as calculated moves to grow Daemon's reputation as a great leader, designed to outgrow the bounds of the Second Son moniker. Show Daemon's actions in the Stepstones are depicted with a sense of adventure and rebellion. His motivations can be seen as driven by a need to prove himself and carve out his own legacy after being banished from court by his brother, the King. The television adaptation clearly shows Daemon attempting to carve out his own legacy out from under his brother's shadow, as he becomes enraged when Viserys offers to intervene with his own forces, beating the royal messenger in retaliation because he believes his brother is attempting to steal his glory. Daemon's relationships are intricate and often tumultuous. He kills his first wife, Lady Royce, because they detested each other, and their marriage held him bound to one woman in the view of the faith of 7. His other marriages, especially to Laena Velaryon and later to Rhaenyra Targaryen, are portrayed with differing nuances in the books and the show. These alliances are both personal and political, serving to strengthen his position and assert his influence. In the short story, The Rogue Prince, Daemon's books' relationships are depicted with a level of ambiguity. His motivations are often unclear, blending personal desire with political maneuvering and a seemingly insatiable urge to be heroically famous in deed, yet oftentimes villainous in character. But again, the show provides more insight into his deeds, portraying his marriages as strategic alliances aimed at consolidating power and securing a legacy of his own out from his brother's thumb. And indeed, Daemon is showered with gold and favor by the magisters of Pentos for the prestige and firepower he and his wife's dragons bring to the great city, bringing him great wealth of his own independent of King's Landing's coffers. The Targaryen Civil War, known as the Dance of the Dragons, is a pivotal period in Daemon's life. His role in the conflict is marked by strategic brilliance and ruthless efficiency. The books present his actions with a mix of heroism and villainy, leaving much to interpretation. The show, however, offers a more straightforward portrayal of his ambitions and strategies. In The Fire and Blood, Daemon's role in the dance is depicted with chaotic complexity. His motivations can be interpreted as both a genuine desire to support Rhaenyra and a personal quest for power, though many of his actions are certainly self-serving and vicious. But one can only feel that the reasons behind his action are deeper than these surface ones, though you can never really get a firm hold of these motivations from the pages of The Rogue Prince. The show portrays him as a more clear-cut power player, willing to cross societal and moral lines to get what he wants, deeply involved in the Targaryen Civil War and driven by a desire to secure his and Rhaenyra's position, though it is established early on that he resents Viserys' treatment of him, constantly sending him away to some post and never making him hand. The second episode of Season 2 touches on this in a major way, when Rhaenyra confronts Daemon over the blood and cheese, accusing him of continually lashing out at the world for the throne he feels his brother denied him. In the books, he is a figure shrouded in mystery, spreader of order and chaos, with motivations that are open to interpretation and at times spiteful as well as baffling, particularly as they are aimed at members of his own family. Truly, television provides a more definitive take on his character, highlighting his ambitions and actions with greater clarity. Additionally, the show underscores his complicated but enduring love for his brother Viserys, as well as his love for his niece Rhaenyra, who his fondness for is clearly shown in the first episode of Season 1. show Daemon is a more defined character than the one in Fire and Blood. His motivations are clearer, centered around his resentment towards Viserys, his ambition for power, and his belief in his own superiority as a true Targaryen's Targaryen. The show also highlights moments of genuine care for Viserys, as seen most poignantly when he aids an ailing Viserys reach the throne and don his crown in the Valyrian succession dispute, suggesting that, despite their conflicts, Daemon harbored a deep-seated love for his brother. But much uncertainty remains even in the show when observing Daemon's actions, for we surely haven't pierced the layers of armors over Daemon's heart. In conclusion, Daemon Targaryen is a character of great complexity, with motivations that vary significantly between the books and the TV show adaptation. In the books, he remains an enigmatic figure, with actions driven by a mix of personal ambition, resentment, and a love for chaos. The show, however, provides a more straightforward portrayal, emphasizing his clear ambition for power, his belief in his own superiority, and his complex love for his brother Viserys. It is almost certain that the show will delve further into Daemon's character, perhaps pulling back some of those layers of mystery. Whether viewed as a hero or a rogue, Daemon's legacy is one of the most fascinating and controversial in the history of Westeros.